Hi, welcome everybody. So welcome to a new series where we'll be building some kind of subscription website. So first thing what we'll do is we'll make the user management system, which is very important since we have to make a new user who are subscriber who paid for the feature. We'll charge the customer on monthly basis. So let's get started. So first thing I'll install is this package CRUD generator. We'll be creating some basic CRUDs like post or any other resources. So it is boring to over and over go through same methods. Like we have done this CRUD many times, so we don't want to repeat that. So this package allows us to create scaffold all the CRUD with some simple commands. So first thing I'll do is I'll install this CRUD generator. By the way, I've already installed this, so you can go through this documentation. So since I'm using Laravel 5.5, I just need to run this command, and after that is done, just publish this service provider. So that's it. Okay, so here I have already installed a new Laravel project. I've named it webcasts, and I've installed that CRUD generator. Also I've run PHP artisan make auth. So that's what I've done. Also I use this Laragon, so when you create some folder in your root, you'll get this domain name. So since I have this webcast folder here, it will automatically make this virtual host for me. That's cool. So in order to create a user management system, we'll use this Laravel permission by Spacy. So it is quite well maintained package. You can see commit 2 days ago, so it has good start also. So the reason we are using this package is it provides us many methods like checking role if it has a user has permission, get all permission. So we don't need to create these methods separately, so it will save us quite a bit time. So yes, so let's install this package. Okay, after that package got installed, let's configure it. Okay, we go through this step. Now we need to publish our migrations for tables. So out of the box it got some tables where we'll be storing our roles and permissions. Okay, so we got tables. Now we can migrate this to create our database. So of course before doing that you need to this configure.env file. So if you don't got this file, just copy this example and rename it .env. So I've named database webcast. So this is my user and with no password. So in order to avoid some errors, you need to use the latest version of MySQL. Okay, so after configuring .env, you can migrate it to create table. Let's migrate PHP artisan migrate. So we got all required tables. Okay, so roles table where we'll be storing all our roles and permissions, all permissions, and role as permission will be linking the role with permission. So which role has permission? So one role, it is many to many relationships between these two. Also this table model as roles just links any model to role. So generally in this user management we'll be linking user, so you don't need to worry about these two just yet. Okay, so I think that's it about configuring and installation. So now let's go to how we can use this package. So generally we'll be focusing on user model. So we'll have to add this trait which will allow us to use several methods which this package provides. So Let's just quickly add this straight to user model. Okay, so let's go to user, and so here already notifiable, we can add one more as rules. So before that we need to import that, or if you have PHP companion installed, I think you can directly do has rules, and then you can import by hitting F5. Okay, yes, you can do that. Yeah, exact same model. Okay, so we imported this straight. Now we have access to methods like has roles, get role name, all of these. Now after package is configured in our application, a user can register. For example, let's register a new user. Alright, so we created a new user. So currently this user has nothing, no rules, no permission. So for that we need to create here. For that we'll need a interface to create a role, to create one interface or one page to create roles, one page to create permissions, and another page to list all the user and assign role to those users. Yeah, so the page where we display roles, there we can assign permission to roles. So basically we'll need three pages, and basically I think three CRUDs. So one for permission, so we need all the edit form, create form, and controller, model, everything for that. So to make that process easier, I've used that CRUD generator, this package, to make that process a little bit easier. So yeah, so just require it, and now we can we can create all those things in one command like CRUD generate. So let's start by creating a permission CRUD. Okay, so let's create CRUD for PHP artisan CRUD generate for permission. So fields, there will be only one field in permission since we already created this migration, so we will need just name field. So name, and which will be string. Okay, next we need to, let's open this side by side. Okay, so other, we don't need other fields, just name will do, and view path, so the view will be stored in the path we specified here. So I have this admin folder inside resources views, so I would like to store that inside admin. Also since we are creating this in admin side, we'll specify the controller namespace. The route group will be admin as well. Form helper, I'll use Laravel collective instead of plain HTML. Okay, it created controller, model, migration, view. Also it added the route to our web.php. Okay, so let's go to Sublime and let's check that out. Views admin, so we got permission. Okay, also it created this permission.php. So we'll not need this permission model since this permission is already there in this Laravel permission package. So we'll reference this, we'll use this permission. So let's go to Sublime, and first let's delete these permissions. Okay, and next we'll delete migration. Since we already migrated that to database, we'll not need this migration. Okay, we can delete, so it replaces the original migration. We can generate migration anytime. Okay, so that's it. We got a controller, we got these views, and inside web.php it put that it has put this permission controller reference to that permission controller. So let's go to this route, admin permission. Okay, since we deleted this permission model, we need to reference the original one inside permission controller. Okay, just delete that, and here press F5, and then we'll import this model. That's it. Refresh. Okay, now we can see all these CRUD there, so we can create new permission like manage users, create. Yeah, we can edit, view, yeah, out of the box. We don't need to create all of these. Okay, so it saved us quite a bit, a lot of time. So next we'll create our same CRUD for role. So let's switch to, and I'll CRUD generate. I'll replace this permission with role. So field will be name for role as well. So field name, okay. All other parameter, okay. So yes, okay. So now we can generate this CRUD as well. Okay, so same thing, since we have already the model called role that is supplied by package to us, so we don't need this role generated by this CRUD generator, so I'm deleting that. Also, we don't need this role table migration since we have already migrated. Okay, that's it. So if you go to web.php, you don't need to add anything, it's just added by default. So now let's go to our admin role. Okay, we need to configure that role in role controller. Same stuff, just delete that and just import that. So I'm pressing F5, so it will allow us to import that model role. Okay, so it got imported here. There we go. So we can create new role. So super admin role. Let's create super admin role. Okay, yeah, so we got both things. So let's add these link to this sidebar. So inside admin, we got this sidebar.blade. Here we'll add one new entry. Okay, one for role, one for permission. So URL will be admin/role /permission. Okay, refresh. Yeah, we can go to role, we can go to permission. There we go. So next thing we need to create here we need to assign the permission to this role, so we need to manually add that field. So let's go to Sublime. First of all, we'll go to this role controller and we'll pass all of the permissions here so that we can assign any of these. Okay, so first of all, let's collapse this sidebar and let's go to a role controller. We don't need to do anything in permission controller. So in create view we'll need permissions, so we'll plug name. So first we'll get permission, then we'll plug name, and then name. So which this will be used in that select field. So let's pass that to our, Okay, so let's pass this to our role create view. So let's go to role create view, and here we'll add one more field. So that field, we should add this to role form. Okay, form. Okay, so here I'll create this new one, copy, and so label will be permissions. So let's make it select field, and we'll make this multiple select fields. So I think we can do multiple. Okay, let's check out. Okay, we need to import this permission class from this model. Okay, we got only one, so let's create some more permissions. Okay, let's go to permissions, sorry, roles. So let's edit this role. Okay, we didn't pass it to edit view, that's why it's giving error. So while creating new, we can create new author. So author can create post, edit post. So create. So currently it is not assigning that to any of the model, so that's why it is giving us error. So let's check that. So we need this to our edit view. Just copy this, and where is our edit? Okay, so we'll need permissions here as well. So compact role permissions. So now we shouldn't get error while editing as well. Okay, there we go. So visual part is done. Now let's store that assign the permission to role. So for that we are submitting this form to our store method. So here we need to assign that. So while creating the role, we are passing all request data. We can do accept permissions, since we don't want to insert that inside our role table. Let's go to form, and here select field permissions. We need to make this array. So currently it is just passing one permission. We don't need that. We want to pass multiple, like array. Okay, now we got the array of the permissions. Alright, so now we'll use the method provided by this to give permission. So we can give permission. So role give permission to these. Okay, so now let's store that into our rules. So here we have access to this rule. So rule create request data. Now we can give permission to this role. So role give permission to permissions. So permissions will be request permissions. Okay, so that's it. Now let's check that out. First of all, refresh. Now let's go to role, and let's create new role with permission. So I'll create author with permission to create post and edit post. Let's see if it works. Okay, it worked. Now let's see that in database. Okay, we got author, we got permissions, and now let's go to role has permissions. Okay, so role ID 3 has two permission, 3 and 5. So let's see role ID 3. Yes. So now while editing also we need to show these selected by default. So let's go to, I think let's go to form role edit dot plate. Here we need to go role form, and here we got permissions, and this is null. So old permissions, if this is the case we'll show old permissions, otherwise we'll show role permissions and then we'll pluck. Alright, let's refresh and let's edit this author. Yeah, we got these guys selected. Okay, so now we can easily create a new user. And okay, so it is throwing error because in our form we are using this role permission. So what we can do is if is set role, then we'll show that. Otherwise null. So since we are using same form.plate for create and edit view, so while editing we have access to role, but while creating we don't have, so that's why we need to check that. Okay, so refresh. Yeah, so now at this point we can easily create a new user, sorry, new role with and we can assign permission to new. So we can view that, but we don't edit, I think. Yeah, so let's edit this edit post to delete post subscriber. Yeah, it will not edit, so we need to handle that update part. So in order to do that, let's go to update. So here update. Yeah, so same thing, we can copy something, some code from store, so we'll need these two. So instead of request data all, we'll just grab the everything except permissions to store that in our role. And we got permissions from here, and what we can do here is role sync permissions, and we can pass permission. So what this sync permission will do is it will just remove all of the existing permission, and it updates with the permission that is coming from request data. So whatever user updates will update in our role. Okay, so let's check. So we got subscriber with edit post row permission. So now we can assign this to these two permissions, create and delete. So let's view, create and delete. So we got these two for subscriber. So now role and permission CRUD is done. We can easily create, delete everything. We can create permission, we can create role, we can assign permissions to role. Now last thing we need to create is a user CRUD. So we need to list all user and then assign role to those users. So for that also I'll create a controller. So I'll use the CRUD generator package for that. since we have already have user model and user migration out of the box that comes with Laravel installation, so we'll generate controller and necessary views. So PSP artisan CRUD controller. So if you want, you can take help /s and it will tell you about this command. So it will tell what are the options and what you need to type. Okay, so let's create a controller. So the name of controller will be user. So user controller, and we need to specify the CRUD name that will be used to generate the variable name. CRUD name user, group will be admin as well. Okay, so let's generate. Alright, let's switch to Sublime and open up that controller. Okay, so we got okay, so we still need to generate these views. Currently we don't have those views inside resources, views, admin, so there is no this view. So let's generate all those views, and for that I'll use another command to generate view. So PSP artisan CRUD view. So the name of view will be user, since here we are using user singular form, and we need to specify the fields name. So the fields will be, so let's see user table what fields we require. Users, okay, we require name, email, password. Okay, that's it, name, email, password, and another field to assign roles. So the field's name will be first name, which will be string, and another will be email, which will be type of email, and password of type password, and last field will need roles, which will be select field. So the roles will be select field, and select field got options. So options will be, so we'll put dummy options for now, later we'll pull it from database. So admin, so since it is JSON, we'll need to admin. Okay, so that's all about fields. Next we need to specify the path where it is stored, where these views will be stored. So view path will be same admin folder inside view. Okay, looks like we got some issue with this. Okay, so view created, so there was double quotes. Okay, so let's check that out. User create, everything is in place. Now let's go to web.php, and here we'll need that route for user. Let's copy it, paste it here, admin user. Okay, so admin user controller, let's see where is user controller. Okay, it is placed outside, that should be okay, or we can easily transfer that to, okay, so let's cut it from here and let's paste it here. and we need to update namespace. So let's go to admin user. Okay, okay, that's fine. We need to modify this. We don't need to show this password here. Yeah, so add new. Okay, so we got some error with select field. We'll correct that in a moment. So let's go back, and what else we need to do? Yeah, so let's switch to Sublime, and let's go to our, first of all, let's go to form blade view inside admin user form. Okay, so here rules, we can remove this thing from here. So instead we'll display here rules. So if there is user defined, we'll check if user is defined. So set user will display user rules. Alright, otherwise null. Okay, this will be multiple as well. Okay, actually this will be in, so we can cut it from here. Instead we have to place it here, since this will be selected in edit view. So here we need to display all of the rules. So currently what we can do is, for now just let's use rule get, and then we'll pluck name and then name. So since it accepts array, I think that should work. So here we need to import the rule. So that will be spacey permission models rule. Okay, let's check if it gives an error. Okay, that's totally fine. Next we'll remove this password field. For that we'll go to our index, user index. Alright, so we got everything in place. So let's go to user controller, and inside store method we need to, we need to ignore that rules. So accept rules, and user create all request data. We are getting rules in form of request rules. Alright, then what we can do here is we getting user and assign role to that user. So user assign role, and here we need to make it array, so that we can assign multiple roles to user. So that's it about store. And then in update Okay, there we go. So while updating we can do same thing, users sync roles. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so that should work. Let's try refresh. So we can add this to our sidebar as well to make it easier. So let's go to sidebar, inside view admin. Okay, and here we'll create new entry for user admin, user, refresh, users, add new user. Okay, oh sorry. Okay, inside, so it says so always read this error carefully in order to debug. So it says this method is undefined, that means that method is not defined in user. So I thought we have implemented that has role trait. I think we did, but yeah. So if you go to the documentation of laravel permissions, so after you included that, you need to import this, use this trait has roles, so which is this. So let's go there and has role, yeah, has roles, and then we can import it like so. So now it should work. Let's resubmit. Now this time, okay, I think it already created, we are doing twice. So let's go to user, yeah, we already created that. Let's create new one. Word, let's give it author and subscriber. Okay, this time we created, let's edit. Okay, so this highlighting doesn't work. Let's first check database if it worked. Okay, looks like it is not hashing password. And also let's go to rule. Okay, yeah, we're doing right. Okay, here instead of roles we need to use get roles name method supplied by package. So get role names, save it. Let's refresh. Get role name, sorry about that typo, it's get role names. Refresh, there we go. So we can edit super admin and subscriber. Okay, so while updating we need to modify, I think. So integrity violation, password cannot be null. Okay, so here we need to modify a bit, since in our user we are placing the plain password instead of hashing it. So we need to first hash this password and then store. Okay, so in order to do that we need to define, yeah, there are two ways to do that. One way is while storing, instead of using this create, you can manually create new user and then hash password here. So I'll use another way, which is to define inside user model. So inside app user we need to define a eloquent mutator. So if you go to documentation here, so while setting any attribute, we'll hash the password. So yeah, so every time when we want to store this attribute to database, it will automatically perform the action defined inside this function. Okay, so let's go to user model, and here, so the name should be exact. So name of function should match set password attribute, and we have access to value, and if there is value, what we want to do is we want to hash this password. So we have to define like this. So this attribute and name of attribute, this attributes, so this attributes and the name of attributes will be password, and that password so first we'll check if this password need to be hashed. So first we will check if the value needs to be rehashed. So app hash, so this is the function. So f hash needs rehash, so needs rehash and then value. So if that is the case, then we'll hash make, so we'll hash that value. Otherwise, so if it doesn't need rehash, we'll just simply put the value. So we need to import that class. Yeah, so that is imported here. Okay, so that's it. So let's go and check again. Okay, sorry, slight typo here, it's sync roles, sorry about that. Next step is to protect these routes. Currently you can see user is not logged in, even it can access all these routes. So what we can do is only the admin with role super admin can access all these user management related activities. So let's do that. So for that we can utilize the packages feature. So the package laravel-permissions, so it allows us to use these roles and permissions. So we need to first register this in our route middleware. So let's copy that, and so we need to go to http kernel, and here inside route middleware, so we need to register these two. And now let's go to web.php, and here we can assign that row middleware. So here we can make a new group of route, so route, and here we can create function. All these guys will go inside this, and here we need to define that middleware, and the name of middleware will be, so the name of middleware is like so a role and the name of role. So currently we have a role called manage user, or yeah, we got role super admin. So now let's log in first, and web thematics. Okay, user is logged in. So now let's try to access that route, admin role, there we go. So we can access that route. So let's create a user like normal user, so it is subscriber. Okay, normal user. So now let's log out and try to log in as normal user. So currently if we try to access that route admin role, we cannot. And if we log in as normal user, so normal at the rate gmail and 123, let's log in. Okay, we are logged in as normal user, and now let's try to access that admin role route. Yeah, user does not have right roles, so that's what we wanted. So that's about complete user management system with all features. We are restricting user, we are only allowing user to manage roles and same thing. So if you want further information in detail, you can also use like these. Yeah, very simple stuff. So this is the main core of user management system.